Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens unveils a $5 billion plan to expand and uplift the South Side and West Side of Atlanta. Let's go ahead and check it out. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the channel where we find the truth, seek understanding, and be the light. So, interesting thing that's going on in Atlanta, in Georgia, where I reside. I'm not going to be affected by this too much, but I could be, because the question is, where are these $5 billion coming from? So, Mayor Andre Dickens, Andre Dickens. Mayor Dickens is coming up with an investment plan into Atlanta, $5 billion. Now, this is a touchy subject, especially for me, because now that I'm starting to understand things on a political scale a little more, I'm starting to see, understand where certain fundings go, understanding taxes and what we pay for as taxpayers and stuff, and seeing the misuse of the tax dollar by our mayors, by our governors, and by ours, I mean the US, not essentially Georgia. Georgia's been doing pretty well, per my understanding. But ultimately, we should be mindful of where our money's going. We should. I mean, this is the money that we work for that's being put out to be used evenly amongst, well, kind of evenly depending on who you are, but is going to be put out and used on your city to some degree based off of certain stuff that I'm seeing in some of these democratic cities that want to be safe havens and use the money towards other things. Y'all already know where I'm going with that. It's really kind of like, I'm not on edge, but I'm just like, all right, what's going on here? When I see big dollar signs like this and a mayor using it, I wasn't aware of what they were using said money for before, because I didn't know that this amount of money was being thrown around to mayors. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on.
Well, today, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens making an announcement of a new neighborhood reinvestment initiative.
That's right. He says that it will put $5 billion in Atlanta's historically underserved communities. 11 Alive's Grace King is joining us live from City Hall, where that announcement was just made. So, Grace, this is welcome news to a lot of people. How will this work?
Yes, please.
Well, Mayor Andre Dickens says this will require an expansion of the city's tax allocation districts, or TADs. Now, those essentially take tax money from new developments, new projects in certain neighborhoods, and put that towards improvements in that very same area. Mayor Dickens says it's worked well in neighborhoods near the Beltline and near Atlantic Station, and he knows it could benefit historically underserved areas as well. He hopes these TADs will bring that transformation.
This will allow us to raise money through bonds to fund these vital projects. We will expand our transit network, invest in trails and green space, build affordable housing, invest in health centers, recreation, and groceries. We'll nurture these small businesses and commercial development areas and improve our public infrastructure.
Now, creating these special tax districts requires approval from the city, county, and schools in that area. But Mayor Dickens says he's confident that everyone will work together on this, quote, group project to bring these resources across the city.
So that was just a quick snippet of the situation. My thoughts. It's interesting that I'm seeing this happen because it's just a quick story. I just came from my home state, New Jersey, and I kind of see this. I hear this and I imagine what I just witnessed back home in New Jersey. So I used to live in a small town called Rahway, not too far from what a lot of you may know, Newark, New Jersey, which is not the best place to live. Surrounding cities, also not the best place to live. That was the case years ago. I went there towards the end of last month for an event. And one day, my bro, he's pretty big in the city. Yeah, I'm gassing you up, I know. But he's pretty big in the city. He's doing great things over there. And he was showing me around the town of Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth, kind of similar with Newark as far as, what used to be the crime, what used to be the population, and what used to be, the poverty level and stuff like that. So he's driving me around and he's showing me areas of Elizabeth, new areas, developments that's coming, new housing and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, these places are like really coming up. There's a college that we always pass by, King College, that I remember it was just one building back in the early 2000s. It was just one building. And now it's this giant campus with all these buildings that just have these beautiful glass windows and all these wonderful signs and stuff. And I'm just like, this is nuts. This is now King College or King University. Maybe it changed to a university. I don't recall. So we continue driving. I don't know if he did this on purpose, but we continue driving and I'm just looking around. It's a Sunday afternoon and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, Elizabeth has really changed. This is weird. And as we're driving. And I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to be just straight up with the things that I'm about to say next. Because some of you may take it the wrong way. You got to be objective when it comes to certain things. Because you got to understand, this was a city that had gang violence heavy back in the day. Between the Haitians, between the Bloods, between the Crips, between the Hispanic gangs, it was all present. The things that my brother had seen, I wouldn't wish for anybody to see. And he lived through all of that. The interesting thing is that as time progressed, we've gotten to a point now to where I'm literally looking around and I'm like, this is livable. And I don't mean livable as in like, some of the house structures, because some of the house structures still need to be, changed and whatever, but that's going to be whatever. I mean livable in a sense of I can actually see myself walking outside and not worrying about anything. Where am I? What's going on? I'm looking around the streets and we're driving down the street and stuff like that. He's bringing me to the dock, somewhere that I've never been to in Elizabeth, because there was no reason for us to go over there. And we're driving to the dock. And as we're driving down the streets, I'm looking around. I'm like, where'd all the black people go? I was so confused. I'm like, wait, this whole weekend, I've seen nothing but Hispanics. I was there for a whole weekend from Friday until Monday morning, early Monday morning. I've seen nothing but Hispanics. And it's not even like, gang Hispanics. Like, we're driving and I just see people just chilling out, walking, going to the stores, getting the groceries, going to this one shop, and then the families are out with the kids playing outside, this and the third. I'm just like, where am I? What is going on right now? I was baffled. And it was hard for me to really register, because every time when I came back to New Jersey, I knew that I was going to go and see, my relatives, my aunts and stuff like that, especially the ones that live in Elizabeth. And my always concern with Elizabeth was because of the violence, was because of the gangs. And like before, when we were younger, we would, go through Broad Street, because Broad Street was where most of the stores was at. And people, walk to Broad Street all the time and whatever. But it was just an impoverished city, low income housing, low income residents. It was not somewhere where, I would say, as somebody that was born in America, would want to start raising a family in. Elizabeth was not the place. It wasn't. Elizabeth was literally the spot where immigrants came in, because it was a whole bunch of Haitians. Honestly, it was a lot of immigrants. It was a whole bunch of Haitians. It was a whole bunch of, Hispanics and, people from other nations. But there was a lot of black people that lived there. And the majority of the gang was caused by the black people. It was caused by the black community, for lack of a better term for that. And so I don't need that anymore. And so we're driving around and I see nothing but Hispanics that are just chilling. I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, it's a livable area now. And it's nuts. And like the cities that and this is the thing that I'm talking about in regards to this, is because Elizabeth has expanded so much. They've updated so many areas, so many different zones. It literally felt like a game of Sim City, for that matter. So for those of you that don't know, really quick, Sim City is a game where essentially you're kind of I guess God, in a sense, where, well, not really God, but you develop the cities. And my brother would love this game. I think he would love this game. You develop the cities, you set the zones. This is going to be residential, this is going to be commercial, this is going to be like industrial and stuff like that. You build the roads, you build the towns and stuff like that. And then as people start to come in and live, property value comes up, this, that, and the third. You increase the taxes, you decrease the taxes, you just take care of the city, and then it grows. And I'll throw a picture of it right here, just for sample. And literally, that's kind of what I thought about. That's kind of what was running through my mind, is that this is literally Sim City in the making. Because all these, like the way that Elizabeth was years ago is not the same Elizabeth that it is now. Now, granted, some of the buildings, yeah, they're still the same. But as we were driving around, I'm seeing like specific buildings that I knew was there is no longer there and has been changed and has been updated. But this also includes gentrification, which is my concern for here. You got $5 billion for investing into these areas. Is that going to cause gentrification, in which the people that live there now are maybe not going to be able to afford the property values, the increase in their property taxes, and thus got to move out? Because we don't know where the black people went in Elizabeth. He showed me some areas that were low income houses. I forget what they call those, but essentially government assisted livings. And before, it was like this one just area and this one area over here, but like big areas, like whole blocks where that was the case. But based off of where he showed me, they kind of split them up in different areas to where they're not clumped too much together. And it's like, even then, people were just chilling. And it was just mind boggling to me. And I was just like, this is now Elizabeth. But it seems to be populated heavy with Hispanics. Nothing against Hispanics, because I mean, it is what it is. But it just brings up the idea of, like, isn't that what Trump was saying? That the Hispanics are gonna come and like just take everything from the black people? That's literally what came in my mind. But whether that's actually true or not, that's a whole different story. And I'm not gonna harp too much on that. It was just something that popped in my head when I was looking over at everything. Now, it's still pretty diverse. We still have your different, different nationalities, different foods that you got in Elizabeth, which I still loved about Elizabeth, is that you always got your different foods in all these different areas. But as far as like residential, the fact that there was such a huge switch was mind-boggling. It was intense. And it's like, me just being me, it's like, okay, well, all these Hispanics came in, they're more than likely not going to be making, huge money. Yet I've seen a group of Hispanic kids coming out of one of those sky-rise apartment complexes that they built up. I'm just like, whoa, okay. I have no clue. I have no clue what's going on here. But it's good, because the fact that people can actually live and walk around and not worry about being mugged, not worrying about a drive-by, not worrying about, somebody just coming to rob you, or being sticked up. The fact that you don't have to worry about that as much as you did before, as much as I would have before, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But what happened to those individuals? Because even though they were the ones that were creating, not saying that black people specifically, but even though those that were committing the crimes that are less in Elizabeth nowadays, they're still human beings. So where did they go? I don't know. So then that begs the question, is that what's going to happen here in Atlanta in the next 10, 15 years? South side of Atlanta, southwest side of Atlanta is going to be looking like Avalon. You think all those low income people are going to be able to afford that? I don't know. Or maybe not Avalon, maybe like Sewanee. Let's say Sewanee. Because even then, Sewanee is even like, I don't know, guys. It's interesting. I don't know how. I mean, I can say that it's good. I can say that is good. But I'm not in an economic bracket that would say otherwise. And as crazy as it may seem, I really feel like a lot of the ideologies, the way that people think and the way that they go about such situations and react is because of where they're at economically. Truthfully. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Peace.